Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Bima Satria N.P. I'm from Factual and Discursive Reading Class G, and this is my first book report, and the title of the book is Sherlock Holmes. The title is Sherlock Holmes, and the author was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a fiction book, and it has 774 pages, and the type of the book is novel. The setting of the story is based in London and the time is in 19th century. First, why do I choose this book? The reason why I choose this book because of the movie Sherlock Holmes, which released in 2009. The movie was directed by Guy Ritchie and starring Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes and Jude Law as Dr. Watson. This movie was based on the novel written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a very popular writer and a physician from United Kingdom. His expertise in presenting Sherlock Holmes, a detective from Baker Street, has made his works widely known throughout the world to this day. Sherlock Holmes is a detective who is loved by all walks of life and age. Countless other works are inspired by his signature method of solving its cases. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually also wrote other stories, but his story about Sherlock Holmes is still being uh, the favorite of people. On the other side, I also like the story about the detective who always solved the case of a mysterious murder like Sherlock Holmes. And Sherlock Holmes did with his partner, Dr. Watson. I have to admit that I'm not a person who likes to read books, but since I watched the movie, I had uh, the urge to buy and read the book. I went around the town, visited some bookstores to buy it, then I found it at one of the bookstores in my town, Madiun. From these reasons were enough to convince me to buy this book. When I read this book, like in the movie, my thought about this book turned out to be right. I found many words that I never expected before, such as classic British slang that came out uh, from this book. This book is really great and I really love it. And the second is about the characters and the plot, or ideas or explanation. The story in this book began with Dr. Watson' household harmony with his wife, Mary Morstan, who were enjoying breakfast at their home. Then there was a telegram from Sherlock Holmes informing him that there's been a mysterious murder case in Boscombe Valley. Then they both went to the location on the train. When they arrived there, they started to ask one by one person to get the detailed information. Long story short, they had found a perpetrator, namely the son of the victim himself, named Mr. James McCarthy, who was accused of killing his own father. Mr. McCarthy, then Mr. James McCarthy, was put in a prison cell. But Sherlock Holmes didn't dare to conclude directly that the young McCarthy was culprit. Then Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, and their other partner, Lestrade, came back to Boston Valley to request the possible scenes there. They tried to find out what have happened there, gathering solid evidences, and of course, they tried to guess what the shape and expression of the culprit was. Sherlock Holmes finally found a new fact that the culprit or the killer is an Australian. He made this conclusion because Mr. McCarthy was also an Australian, and according to the witness, Mr. McCarthy had shouted "Bara" before he was found dead. Bara here means Baccarat, one of the city in Australia, and Mr. McCarthy was from there. After three of them back from the location, they tried to interview a Northman, also the closest neighbor of Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner has acute diabetes and could only lie on the bed. When the interview started, he immediately looked angry and annoyed. Then he told the truth about what happened. He admits that he killed Mr. McCarthy, and about Sherlock Holmes' guesses about the killer is from Australia is right. because Mr. McCarthy and I'm sorry, because Mr. McCarthy is also from Australia, especially from Baccarat. The same Hampton with Mr. McCarthy. The reason why he killed his friend because he is annoyed with the treatment of Mr. McCarthy that always robbed and forced his rights, so he decided to kill him. After that tragedy, Mr. Turner died 7 months later because of his acute diabetes. And my general opinion about this book is first, I want to comment the cover food. It is so simple and the cover is like to other novel cover, illustrated with animation. Next is this book is not really thick, making it easier for us to read. About this book itself, I want to appreciate the author, Mr. Sir Conan Arthur Conan Doyle, for making the story of Sherlock Holmes, who has become legend in word literature circle. This book tells about Sherlock Holmes' life and skills in handling cases, but in this book it uses Dr. Watts's point of view as a first person of point of view, and then makes this is very different and interesting from me for me. Dr. Watson himself is taught as a doctor and an assistant to Sherlock Holmes to help him solve cases. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle had succeeded in making readers feel curious about the case, about the cases he described in this book. For authors in the 19th century, he was one of the greatest, I think. Ancient times, the setting of the 19th century in London, there were no cars everywhere by horse-drawn carriages, there was no TV, uh, and Mr. Arthur Conan Doyle described the story in his book so alive, so flowing, the details, the case handled by Sherlock Holmes were so unique and intriguing. Education and facts collide in the narrative. Aristocratic characters and pretty criminals were mixed together and visualized as TV in our heads. I take the message from Doyle's book is also very brief. Namely, in life we must creatively and according to advice and see something clearly, not just seeing but also observing. Never underestimate the small thing because it is from the small thing that make the truth really revealed. And what did I like about the book? Like what I have discussed before, I really love to watch the movie or read a book about detectives who solve the mysterious cases. And this book is very perfect for me who likes this genre. The narration delivered very neat so that the readers, including me, can enjoy the story and always curious about what will happen next. Besides that, this book also succeeded in making the readers imagine about the background and setting that took place like watching a movie. The background depiction in the 19th century is also presented clearly and well, such as horse-drawn carriages that were still often driven on the road, the use of oil lamp, and also the ropes that were usually used in the year. Next thing is the part I like most when Sherlock Holmes tried to solve the case he was working on, trying to collect evidences that exist, imagining the events that would have happened, guessing what and who the perpetrators were behind all murder cases, and finally revealing who the real culprit was, which was always different from what other cases at first. The disclosure of the case is the most awaited moment when Sherlock Holmes succeeded in revealing the who the real culprit was, and the reader's curiosity is paid off. And what's interesting about this part is that it's not only the readers, the characters in these books were also surprised by the revelation by Sherlock Holmes. Apart from his courageous and expertise in handling cases, Sherlock Holmes is also very compact with his partner, Dr. Watson, who always who always comes together in facing uh, any obstacle. The thing I like about them both is they always discuss and exchange their ideas to solve difficult puzzles. And what did I like least? I have to admit that There are not too many difficult words in this book. Maybe because it is a classic story, so many words that are difficult to understand. Moreover, because this book uses British slang, makes it more difficult uh, for the readers to understand it. And we know that British slang is one of the most difficult slang in the world. On the other hand, the words used by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle uh, are also full of riddles, such as the meaning of the dancing man, which is the meaning is very hard to guess until now for common people. On the other hand, the thing I don't like is too many characters. Many of them have insignificant roles, so that the readers, including me, are often confused by the names of the character. One of them is named William Crowther. He is taught as a gamekeeper in the employ of Mr. Turner. At first, I thought that he would be the key to solve this murder case, but apparently not. Even he has no dialogue in this book, and that made me a little bit confused why he was included in the story. In this book, the names of the regions in United Kingdom are also listed, especially near London, but that is precisely make this book more difficult because the name of the regions are so hard, which adds to the confusion of the readers. Perhaps for the who lives in the United Kingdom, it doesn't matter because they know the areas better. But for them who don't live in United Kingdom, like me, will feel afraid to hear those area names. It would be better in this book if I'm sorry, it would be better if in this book the names of the last characters and also the names of the regions are reduced. What is my favorite question? My favorite question is circumstantial evidence is a very tricky thing. And I'm going to read this book. I think this is a really great book. And would I recommend this book to my friend and why? Of course, I will recommend this book to everyone who likes mysterious murder and detective story. For them, it is very perfect book to read. Although the writing style is a little bit difficult to understand. However, the rest we can still understand it. But because of that, we can have new vocabulary that we can learn and understand. Plot that is made from one story to another story makes the readers will feel curious about what happened next. The small details that no one had never thought before will surprise anyone who reads this book when Sherlock Holmes reveals them. We also can take the lessons and wisdom from this book like we have to focus on one side, never underestimate the little thing around, don't be shy or afraid to ask people to get information, never give up in any difficult situation and always do the best. This book also teaches about compactness and play like a team, like what Sherlock Holmes did with his partner, Dr. Watson. To be honest, their friendship and partnership in the story is very great. They can understand each other, respect each other's opinion, and always help each other in their life. The way to get or buy this book is not difficult because many bookstores sell this book. The story about Sherlock Holmes also has many versions because he solved many cases. What makes his stories not enough, they are told in just one book. And that is the strength of the story. The story of Sherlock Holmes has become the legendary in the world of books. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.